Hey there everyone, and welcome to episode 11 of Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. Oh, and get this. I actually had the Kokiri Sword. Well, I don't know how soon I had gotten it. I guess I just got it at some point, and then I just totally forgot about it since then. And I also noticed that before I equipped the Kokiri Sword, the Deku Shield was not appearing. I don't know what was up with that, but maybe it was because normally you're not supposed to have the Hylian Shield before you have the Kokiri Sword, since it's not possible to do that in the base game unless you're using glitches where you are able to get out of the Kokiri Forest and find the Hylian Shield before you find the Kokiri Sword. So with the boomerang, we can now go and finish Jabu-Jabu's belly, since I was not able to do this before. I think we're going to need Princess Rudo, since we're going to need her in order to hold down the switch that lets us get into the room with the first of the parastic tentacles. Now, I think that in the randomizer... Oh, come on. Are you kidding me? I was on the switch, and then I fell off. Okay, anyway. I think that in the randomizer, even after you get the... Or after Rudo gets the Spiritual Stone in the room where you fight the Octorok, they actually have Rudo still appear in this dungeon. And I think that the reason for that is so you can still open this door here, just in case you didn't get the chest that was in this room. Because I think that in the base game, you need to have Princess Rudo be standing on the switch. Okay, so there we go. We have another prize for the Gold Skull Tula, which is going to be the last one. In the base game, you need to have Princess Rudo hold down on that switch, as there is no way to get that room open once you get to the room with the big Octorok, and you lose Princess Rudo in there. And I think that if you don't collect the dungeon map, which is what is normally found in that chest, then you completely are locked out of ever getting it. I mean, I'm pretty sure that is how it works, because I'm pretty sure that you can't get that room open without Princess Rudo, because I don't think that you can take the boxes through the doors. Oh, are you kidding me? Well, I haven't seen that in a long time. Not sure what the last episode was in which that had happened, or if it had happened at all during this playthrough. It has happened plenty of times when I played the randomizer before, and I think that it did happen quite a number of different times all throughout the first Let's Play that I did on this channel. And we, of course, don't have the dungeon map for this dungeon. You can see the arrows on the screen, but we don't have the dungeon map, so you just see the arrows. I'm not sure if we're going to find the dungeon map in this dungeon. You know, it is quite a shame that there are no chests that appear after you beat the parastic tentacle. I mean, I suppose that could be because the only purpose is to go in, kill the parastic tentacle, and then open up the next door that... Or open up the next path leading into the room with the next parastic tentacle. But I'm just saying, it just kind of feels weird to defeat an enemy and then not get a prize for that. I mean, technically, the prize that I am getting from doing this is just opening up a previously unreachable location. But it just seems kind of weird that I don't get the prize in the room. Okay, and there we go. And we need to kill this jellyfish. Yeah, for some reason, the game does not check if the parasitic tentacle is dead. It checks for every enemy in this room before it unlocks the door. I mean, I don't get why that is. Of course, I did not notice it until after I had... until after I had defeated the parasitic tentacle, but left one or more of the jellyfish enemies in the room. And noticed that the door did not open up right away, but it did open up once I had defeated all of the jellyfish. Oh, is that the dungeon map? That's the dungeon map for the bottom of the well, not the dungeon map for this dungeon. I know that the walls make noise whenever you hit them. But is Lord Jabu-Jabu actually feeling that? Like, is that him moaning, or is that just the sound of his body just reacting to getting hurt? I have no idea. You know, it is interesting how the fanfare music played, even though it wasn't Link that picked up the item. You know, just seeing someone who isn't Link pick up the item and hold it up, and the music that plays for when you pick up an item plays. I mean, I know that was also the case with Cafe in Majora's Mask, but you actually do play as Cafe. You do not play as Princess Ruto. Although that would actually be pretty cool if you did. Like maybe if they decided to do a remaster of Ocarina of Time, where you took temporary control over Princess Ruto as you get through this dungeon. That would be pretty cool, actually. You know, to do something like that. You know, kind of like how in Majora's Mask, when you were in Sakin's hideout, you could switch between controlling Link and controlling Cafe. Why is that enemy not turned around? Normally he does by now. Oh, now he does. You know, when I was working on the thumbnail for this episode, I was kind of a bit inspired by the SpongeBob SquarePants episode where SpongeBob had lost his name tag, and eventually he does find it. It turned out he was wearing his shirt on backwards, so his name tag was on his back. You know, like there was something that he thought he was missing, but he had it the whole time. I kind of felt like that was what was going on with me not having the boomer, or with me thinking that I didn't have the Kokiri Sword when I actually did. And I certainly could not believe, you know, that I noticed in the footage of the last episode that I did have the Kokiri Sword. And of course someone did point it out to me in a previous episode. I just cannot believe that I quickly forgot that I even had the Kokiri Sword. I guess maybe it was because I had been Adult Link for so long after I had gotten the sword that I totally forgot that I had it. You know, it is also quite funny about the fact that Ingo's theme is playing here would be the fact that I think that in a previous Let's Play, of the randomizer that I did, which I think this one was actually on my Let's Play channel that I was uploading Let's Play videos on before I decided to move them over to my main channel due to the lack of views on that channel. And I think that one of the episodes I had the thumbnail be Lord Jabu-Jabu with Ingo's eyes and mustache. You know, to refer to the fact that his theme was playing inside the dungeon. You know, I just cannot believe that that sort of thing has happened twice, in which I've done 2 Let's Plays of the randomizer, and there's a case in which the same music plays in both Let's Plays. You know, like, this is, like, 2 Let's Plays of the randomizer, and I end up having the same music track play in the same dungeon in both of them. Ah, dang, I hate when that happens. You know, I'm targeting something, and it deselects 1 second before I have it. Yeah, it did it again. Like, I did not let go of the Z button. It did that on its own. Okay, well, there we go. Yeah, I think the Deku Sticks actually deal more damage than the Kokiri Sword. I mean, I'm pretty sure that that is the case. Now, something that I don't understand would be why is the Ocarina icon faded out, making the Ocarina be unusable in this room. I mean, I'm guessing that that is done so that the player is not able to warp out during the boss fight, but that's also present in the Child Link dungeons, which, during that time, you don't even have the warp songs. And I also wonder why that wasn't the case in Majora's Mask, because you can still play the Ocarina when you are in the boss room. So I don't know why they let you play the Ocarina in the Majora's Mask boss rooms, but not in the Ocarina of Time boss rooms. Does anybody know? And there we have this boss fight finished. You know, I think that when I first saw the defeat of Baronade, I wasn't sure if this was a sign of him getting defeated or if it was a sign of him getting stronger. And look at that. Another one of these. And there's pretty much 49 more chances that I'm going to be getting one of those, even though I've already got enough to get all of the prizes. The Water Medallion. Ruto awakens as a sage and adds her power to yours. Wow, that is just so ironic how Ruto ended up giving the second prize that she gives you after completing a dungeon she is featured in first. You know, because normally she gives you the Water Medallion in the Water Temple after you've beaten it. But in this case, she actually gave it to us after beating Jabu-Jabu's belly. That would probably be kind of like Darunia giving you the Fire Medallion after you've beaten Dodongo's Cavern, which, given as to how that's how the randomizers work, it is very possible for that to happen. I just find it ironic how it just happened to happen. Either Darunia giving you the Fire Medallion for Dodongo's Cavern, or Ruto giving you the Water Medallion for Jabu-Jabu's belly. or even if they actually gave you the spiritual stones for beating the temples that they are featured in. Okay, well anyway. Since we have beaten Jabu-Jabu's belly, I'm gonna go ahead and warp to the Temple of Time and become Adult Link. So we can then proceed to the Forest Temple, because we got the Minuet of Forest a while back. So we can now do that dungeon too. Oh, this is another Gold Skulltula token. I'm on my way to go to the Gold Skulltula house to get whatever prize they may have for me there. And I just went ahead to check to see if I had already gotten the prize for smashing that crate. And, well, now I've done it. So, all of the men are returned. Oh, wait a minute, you're the wrong person. You're the one I'm supposed to talk to. Great! Okay, well anyway. Wow, I can't believe that he's actually still swaying like that. I've never noticed that before. And of course, key for the Fire Temple, so we can go back to that sometime later. Alright, so here we are in the very peaceful Forest Temple. Because the village for Kakariko Village, when you are a young Link, is playing here. Wow, I can't believe that the Wolfos are still activated, even though I'm not even down there right now. Okay, well at least that filled up my hearts, although I didn't lose that much of it. Okay, I don't need to bother with you doggies. I'm just gonna continue forwards. Now, unless you have seen some of my earlier episodes where I show it, I do already have the boss key, but we need to find all of the Poe sisters in order to unlock the elevator. So we are still going to need to go through this dungeon in order to get it all. Oh wow, 2 heart pieces in a row. I just remember the last episode, I was getting a lot of those all throughout the episode. Well, particularly around the beginning. And this gives us a nut. I'm now gonna go ahead and go into the, the courtyard of the temple. Yeah, I think that I've seen people theorize that the Forest Temple could have once been a castle or a mansion. And I can kind of see that. It certainly does look like it could have been a mansion or a castle of some sort. Certainly has a lot of castle feel to it. Yeah, you can see the sky right there, which I don't think that it matters if you enter the dungeon during the day or during the night. It always shows the same sky. And at least I think that it does. Yeah, it comes in real handy to have the bow and arrow, because normally you would not have the bow and arrow this early in the dungeon, as normally this dungeon is where you get the bow and arrow, but this early in the dungeon we would not have it if we were playing the game normally. Yeah, the funny thing about this chest right here would be that if you watch the really freaking clever 64 Things Wrong with Ocarina of Time series, you may recall that in the episode where he covered the Forest Temple, he made a joke saying, they really should label the opening sides of these chests better. I guess it is just very common that people may find a hard time figuring out what side of that treasure chest they're supposed to open, since you can only open the chest on a certain side of it. And it's quite a shame that we can't get up onto that ledge, because I don't think that we can summon the Scarecrow here. At least you can't in the base game, and you also can't in the randomizer, at least not from here. I guess they did that to make sure that you couldn't get up to that ledge way earlier than you could have, because that goes way later on in the dungeon. So if you were able to get up there, you'd probably beat the dungeon a lot sooner than you were supposed to. At least there are plenty of hearts down here, so at least my health is refilled. You know, when it comes to locations that are behind grates, wow, now we have 14 hearts. Like, locations that are behind grates, like water streams, like the water stream in the Deku Tree, as well as the water stream at the, well, in the Forest Temple's well section, it certainly makes one wonder, if we could go into those sections, where would they lead to? Would they lead us to any location that would be special, or would they actually just take us to a location that we're already familiar with? Like, if we could go into the grates in the Forest Temple, would it take us to the Great Deku Tree, or would it take us somewhere that we've never seen before? I'm actually not sure. But it is fun to think about. Although obviously it doesn't lead anywhere. But it certainly is fun to imagine where it could lead to, because I think that's one of the fun things about playing video games when you're a kid. Just wondering about what could be there. I think that I did that a lot with imagining what could be in some unreachable locations in the Banjo-Kazooie series. Like, I remember that there was a YouTube video, I'm not sure if it's still up anymore, but it was a YouTube video where Banjo went into one of the holes where the pedals come out of the organ in Mad Monster Mansion, and they went into it, and they came out of the Flume of Doom in the Isle of Hags in Banjo-Tooie. Like, I would probably imagine someone just hacked into the game to make it look like they were transitioning into another area, and then, you know, just took the footage of Banjo and Kazooie coming out of the Flume of Doom, and they just managed to swap out Banjo's voice in Banjo-Tooie with the voice of Banjo-Kazooie to make it look like he really was coming in from Banjo-Kazooie, you know, transitioning from one game to another. Not sure if anyone has ever done that for Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. Like if anyone is willing to give some suggestions, you know, like two places in Ocarina of Time. Well, a place in Ocarina of Time and a place in Majora's Mask that look like they could lead somewhere, but it doesn't take you anywhere. And you go right from an area in Ocarina of Time to an area in Majora's Mask. Like, there's also the grates in the clock tower in Majora's Mask. What if you went into the... What if you went into one of the great holes in the Deku Tree, and then just came out from one of them in the clock tower in Majora's Mask? Of course, first you'd need to figure out how to get the grates to go away, which is not possible to do in the game normally. I do realize that I could fire an arrow at the eyeball right now to untwist this hallway. But I'm going to first go like this. Of course, I've now used up all of my arrows. But at least we can now go on to the first Poe fight in the dungeon. The fight against Joel, or Joe as she is called in Majora's Mask. I don't know why they decided to shorten her name. Or maybe if that's just what Tattle calls her. Wow, I actually got her. I didn't think that I would. Alright, come at me again. At least I hit her. Oh, come on. It should have hit her at least once. Well, that took a little longer than I was willing to go for. Not again. I think that in updated versions of the randomizer, they do make it so that if you do pick up a shield that you already have, it pretty much just adds to a sort of counter of how many of each shield you have a spare of. So that way, if you end up losing your current shield, you still have an extra one. But, you know, in the case of this randomizer, it doesn't work like that. Or at least, the version that I'm playing does not count picking up another, picking up a duplicated shield, which is just reserved for when you lose the one that you have. Yeah, if you end up picking up a shield that you already have, that's a waste. So I just really like how they had made it so that they added the they added to a spare counter. I've kind of been noticing that the cutscene had been loading a little slower than it had been. I'm not sure why that is. Okay, so now we have the fight against Beth, and I think that this is probably going to be... Well, I'm not sure if this will be where the episode will end. I've been recording for over 30 minutes at this point. And I think that will depend on how quick I can get this one beaten. Yeah, I think this time I'm just going to target her and then jump slash the moment that she's open. Oh, dang it, I wasn't able to hit her even once. Well, that took a lot quicker than Joel did. May as well see what's in these pots. Do I actually have Din's Fire? Oh, I do have it. Oh, actually what I meant to say was Feora's Wind. Although, do I have the magic to even cast it? Because I've used it a lot. Oh, but I can't even continue that way anyway. Oh. Okay, I'm gonna go back to that room with the eye switch. So I'll meet you guys there. I am back here now, ready to hit that eyeball switch. And that has straightened out the room. And there should be another chest that we should be able to open now that this hallway has been untwisted. Typical. Oh great, more of you guys. And of course, we also don't get a prize here, in addition to the door opening up. At least we get another gold Skulltula. Why am I not... Okay, there we go. Okay, I think that this is probably going to be the last thing that we will do this episode. So, unless this turns out to be another key, I don't think that we can go any further. Although I think that we need another 2 keys in order for us to go further than this. But this is probably the best that we can do. Okay, so this is going to be the Zora Tunic. Well, at least we will have it for whenever we go to the the Water Temple. And I think that's pretty much all that I can do for this one. So, yep, there we go. There's the Zora Tunic right there. I suppose at this point... Wow, I can't believe that the only warp song that we haven't learned is the Serenade of Water, and I tried playing that song last episode when I was making preparations to head to Zora Domain. But in any case, it looks as though our next option is pretty much to just go back to the Fire Temple, because we don't have the Iron Boots for us to go into the Water Temple. Although we also don't have the Lens of Truth, so we could go to the Shadow Temple. I'm pretty sure you can actually do the Shadow Temple without the Lens of Truth, but I would rather just get the Lens of Truth before going into the Shadow Temple. So I'll probably save the Shadow Temple for a last resort if we don't find the Lens of Truth before I'm otherwise ready to go there. So, thank you so much for watching, and I do apologize by just how I didn't notice that I had the Kokiri Sword with me the whole time. I just don't know how that happened. But anyway, hopefully that sort of thing doesn't happen again, but you just never know, because these sorts of things just happen constantly for one reason or another. Alright, so anyway, that's enough. I will see you all in episode 12.